A rebellious teenager leaves school early and steps into a mystery that gripped a Midwestern community. Number 9 on our list is Cara Kopetsky. Cara Kopetsky came from a typical middle-class home.
She was a cute, adorable, happy child.
Hey, how old are you? 2.
But in 1992, when Cara was only 2, her parents divorced. Her mother remarried when Cara was 9.
She always kind of had a hard time with that, you know. She always kind of wished that me and her daddy were still together.
As a teen, Cara developed a rebellious streak. She also developed in other ways.
Cara was a beautiful girl, you know, had a nice body. So, of course, the boys did start to come around, start to flock around her.
On the morning of May 4th, Cara got dressed and walked to Belton High. At 10:30, video from a security camera showed her leaving a classroom and stopping to talk to another student. Then Cara took off.
She left the Belton High School through a forum in the lunchroom area. On the video, the surveillance tape as she's leaving, she did not appear to be distraught. She was not leaving with anyone.
That afternoon, Cara failed to come home from school. She didn't answer her phone either. At 4 p.m., Cara's stepfather began looking for her.
I went up to her work, which isn't very far away from the high school, and asked her manager if he had saw or heard from her, and he said no, we're expecting her at 4 o'clock.
By 5 p.m., with still no sign of Cara, her parents filed a missing persons report.
Of course, she started contacting friends and acquaintances and whoever the last people would have been that you know that the person would have seen.
Police interviewed nearly everyone in Cara's life and came up with nothing. Then they looked into the possibility that Cara ran away.
Cara would have never dropped her whole life. All her clothes are in her room, her iPod's in her room, her bank account still has $105 in it, and it's had the same amount in it for the last 2 years.
It is my opinion that Cara Kopetsky did not run away. Our family wasn't perfect, but we were a family and there's love in our family.
Cara's disappearance was big news in Belton, Missouri, but the national media failed to take notice. Cara's parents launched a campaign of their own.
We printed posters and flyers and took tablets, and we covered all of the Belton area. We took a map, quartered it off, and we went down each street and handed flyers out and asked if they had saw or asked if they had saw any girls that might look like her.
Police had no solid leads. Then, on June 2nd, nearly a month after Cara went missing, a recent high school grad was abducted from a parking lot in a suburb, 18 miles from Belton.
When Kelsey Smith was reported missing, we all immediately thought that there may be some connection between the two.
The important difference in this case, the violent predator was caught on tape. While the search for Cara Kopetsky continues, police take on the number 8 case on our list, the kidnapping of Kelsey Smith. Saturday, June 2nd, 2007. 18-year-old Kelsey Smith left her suburban Kansas City home to pick up a present for her boyfriend.
She had called me at 6:57 as she was going into the store to ask me where was this item that she was looking for. She was only in the store 11 minutes. She comes out at 7:08, and 16 seconds later, she's gone.
Kelsey Smith was known for being smart and opinionated.
She had just graduated from high school. She was in the middle of going to graduation parties. She was very excited about going off to college. She had planned on going to Kansas State University.
Even at 18, Kelsey followed an important family rule taught by her father, a former police officer.
We drilled this into the kids from day one. As soon as they were old enough to go out on their own, anywhere they went, they had to let us know where they were going. Kelsey was really, really good at it.
On June 2nd, 2007, Kelsey was in the mood to celebrate. The date marked her 6-month anniversary with her boyfriend, John.
She was just running in to get the gift for John because they were going out to dinner that night.
She goes, "Bye, Dad, love you," and ran off to Target. And that was the last that I ever saw of her.
Kelsey checked in with her mother by cell phone just before 7. But the Smiths became worried when Kelsey didn't return home by 7:30 to meet her boyfriend.
Well, my initial thought when she wasn't back on time was that maybe she'd had a car problem, maybe her cell phone had died. The longer it went, the more concerned I got that something serious had happened.
About 10:30, the Smiths called police. Officers discovered Kelsey's 1987 Buick, parked at a nearby mall, about a mile from the Target store. Police noticed several disturbing signs.
When we found Kelsey's car, her Target bag was there with all of her items in it that she had purchased. Her wallet, money was there. But the only thing that we didn't find were Kelsey and her car keys and her cell phone.
Investigators retraced Kelsey's steps and reviewed video taken by the store security cameras.
As soon as Kelsey reaches her driver's door and opens it, you can see the figure in the white shirt and black pants running from outside the screenshot up behind Kelsey. Her car leaves the Target parking lot and then approximately 2 hours later gets parked in Oak Park Mall.
Also on the surveillance tape, investigators noticed a man arriving at the Target lot at 9:28 on foot. He then gets into a pickup truck and drives away. The same man was caught on tape following Kelsey into the store 2.5 hours earlier.
We reached out to the local media and asked them to put this person on the evening news. We have a local tips hotline that started receiving calls.
Investigators also used cell phone records to try to locate Kelsey.
We knew that Kelsey's cell phone was missing, and we assumed that it was still with her.
They sent a technician out to the last tower that had contact with Kelsey's phone, and he hooked up some equipment, and he told the searchers that they need to go this way, and was able to narrow that grid down.
We sent search teams to that area, and Kelsey was found within hours.
It was about 20 miles from the Target, from that area from where she vanished. She was nude and she had a belt that was around her neck that was used to kill her. She had been raped.
I just started screaming because it was my Kels.
The rescue effort couldn't save Kelsey, but the search continued for her killer. Police received information that identified 26-year-old Edwin Hall as the man in the store surveillance video.
While we were looking for Edwin, an attorney called in and said, "That's my client in the video. He's come to me and said that's him."
On June 7, 2007, Hall was arrested and charged with the kidnap, rape, and murder of Kelsey Smith. In July of 2008, Edwin Hall pleaded guilty to the charges. As part of his plea deal, prosecutors agreed not to seek the death penalty. Hall was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. In March of 2009, the Kansas legislature approved Kelsey's Law.
The Kelsey Smith Act is a law that mandates now cell phone companies to give law enforcement the information that they need when someone is missing or in danger.
Somebody's going to be in a situation like this again where it will save somebody's life.
The Smiths also started an organization in Kelsey's name.
Well, the Kelsey Smith Foundation was started to perpetuate Kelsey's memory, to help keep youth and young adults safe. I hope she's proud of us for what we're doing in her name. I hope she's up there saying, "Go get him, Mom and Dad."
Authorities investigated Edwin Hall in connection with the disappearance of Cara Kopetsky, who vanished a month before Kelsey was abducted.
We looked extensively to see if there was any link between Kelsey's disappearance and Cara's disappearance. We never found any connection at all.
Hall was never charged in Cara's disappearance. Her case remains open. Cara's parents are still hopeful that they'll see their daughter again.
Cara, we love you, we miss you every day, and every day we hope and pray that you come home.
When we return, a blood-stained pillow, a pair of women's underwear, the desperate search for a missing Nevada teenager, and later, snatched from her bed, Elizabeth Smart, in her own words. A petite college student vanishes in the dead of night. A shocking discovery leads to an unlikely break in our number 7 story. The disappearance of Brianna Denison.
She was young, beautiful brunette, a thin, very beautiful face, charming, lots of friends, someone who was really well liked.
In 2007, Brianna Denison enrolled at Santa Barbara City College as a psychology major. Brianna studied hard, but she also liked to have a good time. In January of 2008, the freshman went back home to Reno, Nevada for winter break.
Brianna's a college kid. Like many college kids, she goes out partying with her friends. 4:30 or so in the morning, they crash. She crashes at a friend's house on the couch.
According to court documents, the next morning Brianna's friend awoke and found no sign of Brianna.
I noticed blood on the pillow, so we called the cops, and from there it's just been the nightmare.
Brianna's shoes, keys, and purse were still next to the couch.
When they call the police don't see any forcible signs of entry. It's kind of a bizarre disappearance. It's as if she's just gone poof off the couch.
The following day, authorities launched an official search.
It was huge. Everybody in Reno was on top of the story, the whole community, wearing ribbons, going out, searching for her, everybody really trying to find her.
Investigators from the FBI were brought in, along with experts from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. There was panic in the community. Some feared there might be a link to other recent crimes.
There have been 2 other attacks on or near campus at this time, and so the police become very worried that they have a sexual serial predator on their hands. Because of those 2 other attacks, they're able to pull together a composite sketch.
On January 31st, 2008, 11 days after Brianna disappeared, police reports allege that DNA collected from her friend's apartment matched that of the suspect in the other abduction cases.
We're probably looking for an individual that blends in very well in this community. He's not a monster that you would think would be walking down the street that you'd be able to point your finger at and say, that's the guy right there.
On February 15th, almost a month after Brianna vanished, searchers made a gruesome discovery in South Reno.
Brianna's body was found in a half-melted snowbank. The searchers had come out in force. There had been over 1,700 people who had responded to the call to help search for Brianna. Sadly, the search ended like it so often does in cases like this, with the discovery of a body and not a girl.
The medical examiner concluded that Brianna was strangled. As the search for the killer pressed on, police records mentioned one particularly intriguing clue.
At the site where Brianna's body had been dumped, there was a pair of underwear left at the scene, sort of like a taunting calling card from the killer.
It has some of the suspect's DNA on it, and also an unknown female's DNA. Brianna's DNA is not on this item.
They determined that that wasn't Brianna's underwear, but it obviously rose suspicion. Who did it belong to?
For 9 months, there were no solid leads. According to court papers, an anonymous tip led police to a woman who lived close to the location where police found Brianna's body.
She remembered there were some mysterious women's underwear found in her boyfriend's car, and that didn't sit well with her.
The woman's boyfriend was 27-year-old pipe fitter James Bila. Police interviewed Bila and asked for a DNA sample. Legally, Bila was not required to cooperate. Police reports state he refused.
You cannot be forced to give a DNA sample unless they have probable cause to take it. They didn't have it here, a couple of sketches, that's not enough.
The police approached Biela's girlfriend and asked if she would help to obtain a DNA sample. And they didn't have to look far because she and Biela had a child together. And incredibly, she agreed to submit her own child for DNA testing.
According to police, the results of the test gave officials probable cause to get a sample from Bila. On November 26, 2008, James Bila was charged with the rape and murder of Brianna Denison. He was later charged with sexually assaulting 2 other Reno area college students. Bila pled not guilty to all charges. In an emailed statement, Bila's lawyer said the jurors and the public will be shocked at the lack of evidence the government has. Prosecutors have combined the 3 cases into one trial. Bila's lawyer is fighting to have them heard separately.
It's pretty incredible that someone could do something like this, and I don't think we're going to have any answers as to how or why this crime happened until, of course, February 2010, when he hits the courtroom.
Coming up, two young women, a sleepy college town, a nightmare you won't believe.
I'm sure he did a lot of things to those two young ladies that we still don't know about, that he's never told anybody about.
A 20-year-old student disappears from a quiet college town. A trail of blood leads to a shocking discovery on a California ranch. In our number 6 story, Rachel Newhouse vanishes. Rachel Newhouse was smart, athletic, and liked to socialize. Cal Poly San Luis Obispo offered the best of both worlds for the Southern California native. On Thursday, November 12th, 1998, the junior had just finished a grueling week of exams. Rachel was looking forward to a night off.
Rachel Newhouse went to a fraternity sorority fundraiser at a restaurant/bar known as Tortilla Flats. During that night, at some point, she got into an argument with one of her friends, and that friend had driven her to the restaurant. And because Rachel had not driven, she decided to walk home from that restaurant.
Witnesses saw Rachel leaving the restaurant around midnight.
Nobody knew if she'd gotten a ride home, if she walked home, if she left with somebody. And when she didn't come home that night, they called the San Luis Obispo Police Department.
The search for Rachel began immediately.
The following morning, when law enforcement got involved, a large pool of blood was discovered up on Jennifer Street Bridge. And that was over in the area where Rachel lived with her roommates.
The blood samples were sent to the crime lab for testing.
Those results indicate a high likelihood that the blood from the bridge is that of Rachel Newhouse.
We didn't know if she was still alive and been abducted or if she was already dead.
Then, on March 12, 1999, several months after Rachel's disappearance, another area college student went missing. And suddenly, a local story became big news. At number 5 on our list, the search for Audrey Crawford. 20-year-old Audrey Crawford lived just a mile from the Jennifer Street Bridge.
Andrea Crawford, she was an only child, and she was sort of a tomboy. She liked cars. She had a Mustang that she was really proud of, and she would actually race people in the Mustang. At the same time, she was studying at Cuesta College, which is a junior college in the county.
Andrea and her mother were very close, and they had telephone conversation 4 or 5 times a week. When Andrea's mother called her on the night of the 12th and she didn't respond, she got concerned and eventually called the police department. The police made entry into the house and discovered that there was some blood found on the entryway in the bathroom area. Her car was parked in the driveway, but Andrea and her car keys were missing.
Authorities decided to question all the sex offenders in the area. Several days after Andrea disappeared, San Luis Obispo parole agent Dave Zaragoza noticed an item in the local paper.
On or about March 16th of 1999, the San Luis Obispo PD put out a statement regarding the abduction, and the article basically put out that it was very likely that the victim was abducted from her apartment.
2 days later, Agent Zaragoza paid a visit to one of his parolees, 33-year-old Rex Krebs. Krebs had served 10 years for committing 2 violent rapes. After his release, Krebs lived on a remote ranch 10 miles outside San Luis Obispo.
Mr. Krebs came out and greeted me in the driveway. He had a brace up around his ribcage area, and he basically explained that he had fallen off a retaining wall and had injured his ribs that way. I noticed that he didn't have any abrasions on his elbows, hands. There was no cuts, no marks, no visible injuries to his hands or forearms or his elbows. It just wasn't making any sense to me at that point.
Dave Zaragoza became very suspicious, and Dave started to get very nervous because here he was in a remote area with a potential serial killer.
Agent Zaragoza took a routine urine sample from Krebs and left the ranch. Days later, Zaragoza returned to the property, this time with police backup. He conducted a search of Krebs' home and the lumberyard where he worked. Investigators uncovered a BB gun. Having a firearm was a parole violation. Police also found a jewelry box containing several puzzling items.
I located an 8-ball keychain, some business cards with the names of females and their phone numbers on the back of the business cards, which raised and piqued my interest. One of the special agents alerted me to the fact that Audrey Crawford had an 8-ball keychain that was no longer in her residence.
Police arrested Krebs and charged him with violating parole. Investigator Larry Hobson was assigned to interview Krebs.
He denied any knowledge of Rachel Newhouse or Andrea Crawford, had no idea they were missing.
Police returned to Krebs' ranch and conducted another search.
We noticed that his Ford pickup had jump seats in the back. One of the jump seats was missing, and the carpet in the rear portion had been cut out.
Police found the missing seat and sent it in for testing.
Well, on April